So hello everyone. So today I'll be discussing about sources of electricity, its advantages and disadvantages. So sources of electricity. It refers to the various methods and resources used to generate electrical energy. So these sources can be categorized into two main types: renewable and non-renewable. Renewable resources. These are energy sources that can be replenished naturally and sustainably over time. Second is the non-renewable resources. These are energy sources that are finite and depleted over time. So there are five renewable resources. First is solar energy. Second is the wind energy. Third is the hydropower energy. Fourth is the biomass. Fifth is the geothermal energy. So what is solar energy? It is an electricity generated from the sunlight using photovoltaic cells or solar panels. Solar energy's advantages and disadvantages. So first, solar energy is a renewable energy source. Second, very low greenhouse emissions. Third, very low air pollution emissions. Fourth, very low water requirements. Low maintenance and very safe for workers and public. Its disadvantages. First is intermittent energy sources. Second, high land requirements. Third is expensive. Fourth, manufacturer involves some toxic. So here is the formula of solar energy. So solar energy reaching the Earth's surface is measured in terms of solar irradiance, which is the power per unit area received from the sun. This can be represented by the formula I is equal to A over P, where I is the solar irradiance, or W over meter squared. So P is the solar power received, or W, and A is the area over which the power is reserved, or meter squared. So here is the problem. Example problem. A solar panel with an area of 4 square meters receives 8,000 watts of solar power. So calculate the solar irradiance. So given area of solar panel or A is 4 meter squared. Then solar power received is 8,000 watts. So solution, I is equal to A over P. Then we need to substitute using the given values. I is equal to 4 meter squared over 8,000 watts. So 4 divided by 8,000 watts is equal to 0.005 watts meter squared. So again, the answer in this problem is 0.005 watts meter squared. So next is the renewable resources. Next renewable resources is the wind energy. So it is an electricity generated by harnessing the kinetic energy of wind through wind turbines. wind energy's advantages and disadvantages. So for the advantages, it is renewable energy source. Second, very low greenhouse emissions. Third, very low air pollution emissions. 4, very low water requirements. And 5 is very safe for workers and public. Its disadvantages: intermittent energy sources, good only in windy area. Third is potentially high hazards to birds. Fourth is moderate land requirements. The formula, so now we'll proceed to the formula of wind energy. So the formula for wind energy can be derived from the kinetic energy of the moving air. So here's the basic formula. I is equal to 1/2 times A times P times V cube. So where A is the kinetic energy of the moving air, and its measure is joules. A is the swept area by the turbine blades. It is meter per meter squared. Then P is the air density. It is kilogram meter cube. And V is the wind speed, and it is meter per second. So now, let's solve the following problem using the formula given above. So, calculate the kinetic energy of the wind hitting a wind turbine blade with a swept area of 100 square meters, given that the wind speed is 10 meters per second and the air density is 1.2 kilogram meter cube. Okay, so here the given is swept area is 100 meter squared, then wind speed or V is equal to 10 meter per second. The air density or P is equal to 1.2 kilogram meter cube. So here is the solution. So again, the formula is E is equal to 1/2 times A times P times X times V cube. So now let's substitute. E is equal to 1/2 times 100 meter squared times 1.2 kilogram meter cube times 10 meters per second cube. So is equal to, let's simplify first. Ato sang i-remove ning mga, let's simplify first. 10 meter per second cube, mao ni siya nahimong 1,000. So naa na ta sa ikatulo. E is equal to 1/2 times 100 times 1.2 times 1,000. Kaning 1,000 na derive ni siya sa 10 meter per second cube. Next is E is equal to 60,000 joules. Now let's proceed to the third renewable resources, which is the hydropower. So hydropower is an electricity generated from the gravitational force of flowing or falling water, typically through hydroelectric dams. So hydropower's advantages and disadvantages. First is the very high return on energy investment. Second, very low greenhouse gas and air pollution emissions. 3 is inexpensive once dam is built. So disadvantages: very high land requirements, extremely high impacts to land and water habitats. 3. Best sites are already developed or off limits. 4. Disastrous impacts in case of dam failure. So now we'll move to the formula of calculating the power generated by hydropower with the formula P is equal to N times P times X times G times Q times H. So in calculating hydropower, you just need to multiply all the given. So where P is the power generated in watts, N is the efficiency in the system. It is unitless, typically between 0 and 1. P is the density of water. It is by kilogram meter cube. G is the acceleration due to the gravity, which is 9.81 meter per second squared. Q is the flow rate of water. It is by meter cube over seconds. So H is the hydraulic head, which represents the height difference between the water source and the turbine. It is by meters. So now we'll be having the problem. So the efficiency, or N, is equal to 85. The density of water, or P, is 1000 kilogram meter cube. The acceleration due to the gravity, or G, is equal to 9.8 meter per second squared. Flow rate of water is Q, is equal to 10 meter per seconds, and hydraulic head is equal to 50 meters. So we'll now have the substitution. Again, the formula is P is equal to N times P times G times Q times H. So P is equal to 0.85 times 1000 kilograms meter cube times 9.81 meter per second squared times 10 meter cube over seconds. 10 meter cube over seconds times 50 meters. So P is equal to 0.85 times 1000 times 9.81 times 10 times 50. So let's perform the last three. So 9 times 8, 9.81 times 10 times 50 is equal to 4,905,000. So P is equal to 0.85 times 4,905,000 is equal to 4,169,250 watts. So P is 4,169,250 watts. Next renewable resources is the biomass. So biomass is electricity generated from organic materials such as wood or agricultural residues or animal waste through combustion or biochemical process. So biomass advantages and disadvantages. So for advantages, it is a renewable energy source, very low greenhouse gas emissions, 3 can produce energy demand. 4 is the energy is easily stored. For disadvantages, first, low energy return on investment. Second, high air pollution emissions. Third is very high water and land requirements. Four, which is the last one, which is high occupational hazards. So now let's proceed by its formula. A simplified version of allometric equation for estimating biomass of trees. So, biomass of trees lang ni ang ato ang example. So, its formula is equal to biomass is equal to A times D raised to the power of B. So, where biomass is the estimated biomass of tree in kilograms or other mass unit. So, A and B are constant specific to the species or type of tree. So, D is the measurement of the tree diameter, such as diameter of breast height, dBH in meters. So, given diameter at breast height, so or dBH, D is equal to 0.5 meters. So, constant na ang A and B, which is 0.2 and 2 respectively. So, let's go first with a formula. Biomass is equal to A times D raised to the power of B na siya. A times D raised to the power of B. So, substitute, biomass is equal to 0.2 times 0.5 raised to the power of 2 is equal to 0.2. Then, ato ang perform ang operation, 0.5 raised to the power of 2, which is 0.25. So, biomass is equal to 0.05. Next is the geothermal sources. It is an electricity generated from the heat stored beneath the Earth's surface, often through steam turbines powered by the hot water or steam from geothermal reservoirs. So, geothermal reservoir computation. So, formula, P is equal to Q times H times P times C. P is equal times T H minus TZ, where P is the power output, which is watts. Q is the mass flow rate of the geothermal fluid, but it is by kilogram per second. H is the enthalpy or the geothermal fluid. It is joules over kilogram. P is equal to density of the geothermal fluid or kilogram meter cube. Cp is the specific heat capacity of the geothermal fluid at the heat source. It is by Kelvin. Then Tz is the temperature of the geothermal fluid at the heat sink. It is expressed in Kelvin. Next is, let's now proceed with a problem. So, calculate the power output from the geothermal reservoir with the following parameters. So, mass flow rate or Q is equal to 1,000 kilogram per second. The enthalpy or H is equal to 500 kJ over kilogram. Density, or P, is equal to 1000 kilogram meter cube. Specific heat capacity, or CP, is equal to 4 kJ over kJ times K. So, temperature at the heat source, or the TH, is equal to 303.15 K. Temperature at the heat sink, or TZ, is equal to 30 degrees Celsius. So now, let's substitute the value in the formula. Again, the formula is P is equal to Q times H times P times CP times TH minus TZ. So, the solution. P is equal to 1000 times 500 times 10 cube times 1000 times 4 times 10 cube times 473.15 minus 303.15. P is equal to 1000 times 500 times 10 cube times 1000 times 4 times 10 cube times 170. So P is equal to 3.4 times 10 raised to the power of 16 watts. So now let's proceed to the new non-renewable resources, which is the natural gas and the nuclear energy. So natural gas is a fossil fuel composed primarily of methane along with the small amounts of other hydrocarbons such as ethane, propane, and butane. It's formed from the decay of organic matter deep beneath the Earth's surface over millions of years. So, natural gas advantages: clean burning. Second is abundant supply. Third is the versatility. 4 is the energy security. 5 is the economic benefits. And its disadvantages is: first, greenhouse gas emissions. Second is the non-renewable. Third is environmental risk. So now let's proceed to the formula for calculating the energy content of the natural gas in BTUs per cubic foot or cubic meter. So, energy is equal, or BTU is equal to heating value, or BTU over cubic foot. So the problem is, calculate the energy content of natural gas in BTUs per cubic foot, or if the heating value of the natural gas is 1000 BTU cubic foot, or 35.3 mj meter cube. So, for BTUs per cubic foot, use the given heating value. So, energy BTU is equal to heating value BTU over, or sa cubic foot. So, energy BTU is equal to 1000 BTU cubic foot. So, it means energy BTU, kung unsa ang heating value niya, same ra siya kung unsa ang energy. Kay ang giingon dre sa formula, energy BTU is equal to heating value. If the heating value is 1000, then the energy in BTU is 1000 also. Next is the nuclear energy, the last non-renewable resources. So nuclear energy is an electricity generated from the nuclear reactions, typically in nuclear power plants using uranium or plutonium as a fuel. So nuclear energy advantages and disadvantages. Its advantages is low greenhouse emissions. Second is low air pollution emissions. Third is low land requirements for power plants. Four is can produce energy on demands. Its disadvantages: first is non-renewable energy source. Second, high water requirements. 3, relatively expensive. 4, waste remains dangerous for thousands of years. 5, serious accidents would be disastrous. So now we'll be having a formula for the nuclear energy. It is E is equal to something triangle M times C squared. So where E is the energy released, it is by joules. Triangle and M is the change in kilogram. I don't know how to read triangle and M. C is the speed of light in a vacuum, approximately 3 times 108 meter per second cube times 108 meter per second. So let's now substitute the given values. So mass is equal to 1 kilogram. The speed of light, or C, is equal to 3 times 108 meter per second cube times 10 meter per second approximately. So calculate. E is equal to 1 kilogram times 3 times 10 raised to the power of 8 over second squared. So E is equal to 1 kilogram times 9 times 10 raised to the power of 16 squared over second squared is equal to 9 times 116. So E is equal to 9 times 10 raised to the power of 16. Yun, E is equal to 9 times 10 raised to the power of 16 joules. So, that's it about my discussion in energy sources and its advantages and disadvantages. Thank you.